Well, here's the good news. There is another way. In fact, it's called God's way. Now, everybody knows that God is loving. You guys have heard that before, right?
Yeah.
And aren't you glad that He is?
Yeah.
But the Bible also says God is just, which means He will not let the guilty go unpunished. You're probably not too happy about that, are you?
I'm not so bad.
But people don't like the thought of a God who would punish. In fact, the question they have is, why does He have to be so mean? Why can't He just overlook it?
Yeah.
Well, here's why. What if God moved into your neighborhood and the word got out that God's in the neighborhood, He's a God of love, He doesn't punish sin. So the bad guys on your block break into your houses, steal all your stuff, steal your kids, and they won't give them back. So you go to them and they say, nah, I'm going to keep them. So you go appeal to God and say, make Him give them back. And God says, no. Lynn, Nancy, just love them.
Love the neighbor.
Love your neighbor. Now, on your block, how many houses are safe now?
None.
How many kids are safe?
None.
None. Is that a loving God? The bad guys prosper and the good guys suffer? Is that love?
No.
No.
I wouldn't think so.
So God's love and God's justice are tied together. The only way God can be both loving and just is to punish the guilty. Now, we like the idea of God punishing all those other people for their sins, but we don't like the idea of Him punishing me for mine. But I hope you see He's got to be both. So then the question becomes, well, if He's a God of love, but He also has to punish sin, how does that work out in my particular case? Because I know He loves me, but He's got to punish my sin. Sounds like I'm in deep trouble. Well, I am in deep trouble. Unless. Well, there was a guy named Garcia. He was general of a army in South America. It was a cruel communist dictatorship. Garcia was leading a revolt, similar to what we did in 1776. So they're hiding out in the jungle. They have limited supplies. And his lieutenant comes to him one day and says, General Garcia, we've got a problem. Somebody's stealing our stuff. Whoa. Means they're going to starve if this keeps up. So he calls everybody together, outlines the situation, and says, look, if you're the thief and we catch you, the punishment's going to be 40 lashes with a whip. Sure enough, in a couple of days, they find the thief. The thief is Garcia's mother.
Whoa.
She's 82 years old. And Garcia knows that if she takes those 40 lashes, she'll die. So what's he going to do? He loves his mother. He doesn't want to kill her. But if he doesn't punish her, he'll lose the respect of his troops because he said there was punishment involved. So everybody's like, wow, pretty tough situation. What's he going to do? So he called everybody together, asked his mom to come forward, said, Mom, are you guilty of the crime? And she admitted her guilt. And he said, Mom, do you know what the punishment is? And she said, 40 lashes. Then he did a marvelous thing. Garcia stood up, took off his shirt, tied himself to the post, and he took the 40 lashes. By doing that, he upheld his love for his mother, because he loved his mom, he didn't want her to die, but he also upheld his justice, because he had announced that punishment must be extracted, but he took the punishment himself. And in the same way, we're a lot like Garcia's mother. We're guilty. Our sins deserve punishment and death. But God is like Garcia. He loves us, but He has to punish our sins. And He came up with a way to do it by taking the punishment upon Himself. And you guys have probably heard the story. God punished us through His Son, Jesus Christ. So there is a way to heaven. It's not our way, the way of good works. It's His way, the way of punishing His Son on our behalf. Does this make sense?
Makes sense.
Okay. Okay, good.